Hi everyone, Percy here, your host for the Social English Podcast. Today, we are going to have another episode of Google Translate mistakes, and today we're going to talk about working out, going to a new gym, and what you think about it. How to talk about this and introduce this gym to your English-speaking friends. But first, Soda, you know what to do.
今日のエピソードでは Google 翻訳で日本語から英語へ翻訳を行った場合の翻訳の間違いを訂正していきます。これらは Google 翻訳を使用する日本人による実際のオンライン上の実例です。英語力を向上させるためにこれらの間違いをどのように修正するかをぜひ今日聞いてください。
Hey everybody, Percy back here again with the Social English Podcast. I am so happy to be able to talk to you today and to help you get better at your English with confidence every single day here at the Social English Podcast. Now, today, like I said before, we have another episode of Google Translate mistakes. In today's episode, you will find yourself going to the gym for weight training or exercise. You want to tell an English-speaking friend that you have about a specific gym that you went to recently. The problem is that Google Translate often makes mistakes. Google Translate changed up all of your words, so now they sound strange or very funny to a native English speaker. But don't worry. It's all right. Let's fix those mistakes together today on this episode. Now, with every single episode of Google Translate mistakes, we will have 4 parts. That's 4 parts, 4 sections. In part 1, I will read exactly what Google Translate said in the wrong English. In part 2, I will say the correct English in a conversational, social English style of speaking English. In part 3, I will give you any hints that I think are important so that you don't make these same mistakes. In part 4, I will say the corrected English version, the right English from part 2 in a fast, natural speed. This way, you can practice listening to English when you already know what I'm saying. I have one special note for today's episode. This dialogue is long. It's a long dialogue. So this episode will be in two parts. Today will be part 1 of 2 parts. So please listen carefully. And after the episode is finished, you can look forward to episode 2 coming out next. Let's start with part 1, the wrong English. Please listen as we go sentence by sentence. There are 3 sentences. Please listen. Kite kudasai. 1. Sentence 1. As a car owner, the parking lot is free and it is easy to enter. So I am very grateful. Part 2. Sentence 2. It's far from the station, so it's less crowded than the sake store, and the machine isn't stiff because the clerk regularly stabs oil. Sentence 3. We are very grateful that you can DIY the wooden stand and urethane to make the machine easier to use. Okay. Let me say that one more time without the number sentences, just the wrong English. Please listen. Kite kudasai. As a car owner, the parking lot is free and it is easy to enter, so I am very grateful. It's far from the station, so it's less crowded than the sake store, and the machine isn't stiff because the clerk regularly stabs oil. We are very grateful that you can DIY the wooden stand and urethane to make the machine easier to use. Okay, everyone, that's it. That is the wrong Google Translate English from Japanese into English. That is not totally completely wrong, but definitely wrong, and you do not want to say that. You don't want to write that, and you definitely do not want to say that in English. It is very strange. So now, let's go into part 2. Part 2. The correct social English in slow speed. The correct English has 4 sentences. The correct English has 4 sentences. Let's listen as I say each sentence one by one. Sentence 1. I like that I can easily park my car for free at this location. Sentence 2. Since it is far from the closest station, it's not as crowded as the Sakae location. Sentence 3. The crew here oil the machines regularly so they are easy to use. Sentence 4. You can also easily reposition each machine's handles and seating, which makes them easier to use. Okay, now you can see where I made many changes, but please listen one more time without the sentences, just the correct English. In slow speed, I like that I can easily park my car for free at this location. Since it is far from the closest station, it's not as crowded as the Sakae location. The crew here oil the machines regularly, so they are easy to use. You can also easily reposition each machine's handles and seating, which makes them easier to use. Okay, and that was the slow version of corrected English with the English parts only. Now, let's move to part 3. These are the hints, my special tips for today's episode. The first tip, you don't need to say as a car owner, because when you talk about why you like the parking space or the parking lot, the listener, can understand, we can assume, it is inferred that you have a car. So you don't need to say as a car owner. Tip 2, use crew or staff instead of clerk. Crew is actually the more social English version and more natural in regular conversation. You would hear in natural social English, you would hear the word crew used. You would never hear clerk to describe a worker at a gym. You may even hear team member, crew member, gym staff, crew, but you will never hear clerk. That is not used. Third tip, stab is absolutely the wrong word to use when talking about machines. In English, stab is used to talk about injuring a living, bleeding thing. For example, a person or a animal. Here is a way you can think about this. Please listen to this example. In the movie I saw yesterday, the hero was stabbed, but he still lived. So that is the only way you want to use the word stab when talking about injuring someone with a sharp thing. Okay, let's move on to part 4, natural fast speed. Here, you will hear me speak in the correct English, but in a natural, fast speed. Please listen. Kite kudasai. Here it is. I like that I can easily park my car for free at this location. Since it's far from the closest station, it's not as crowded as the Sakae location. The crew here oil the machines regularly so that they are easy to use. You can also easily reposition each machine's handles and seating, which makes them easier to use. Here it is again, fast English, one more time. I like that I can easily park my car for free at this location. Since it is far from the closest station, it's not as crowded as the Sakae location. The crew here oil the machines regularly, so they are easy to use. You can also easily reposition each machine's handles and seating, which makes them easier to use.
この章を気に入っていただけたら、5つ星のレビューをぜひお願いします。コメントは英語か日本語でお書きいただければ喜んで読ませていただきます。リアルソーシャルイングリッシュ .com にアクセスしてぜひ無料でダウンロードしてください。ほとんどの日本人の英語を勉強している人がやってしまいがちな7つの間違いとその正しい言い方。また毎日英語を上達させるのに役立つ資料もたくさんあります。Apple Podcast、Google Podcast、Stitcher、そして今はパンドラでもポッドキャストを購読いただきます。支援者になっていただけませんか？私たちがこの章を作るための支援として$5の寄付をお願いできませんか？今後のエピソードで感謝の気持ちをお伝えします。また、そこでしか利用できない新しいコンテンツも入手できます。patreon.com/socialenglish からご参加ください。ソーシャルメディアで私たちのポッドキャストを友達にシェアしたり、Twitter、Facebook、Instagram のフォローをお願いします。
Okay, so there you have it. The correct way to describe a gym and what makes you like the gym and why you go there. Try to describe your gym to your English friend. That's your practice for today. Well, like I said before, that's going to do it. So please rate us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. I'd love to hear from you. You can always contact me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I will see you in the next episode. Peace and love.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイト realsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.